Silence is often misunderstood. In a world that glorifies noise, opinions, and constant engagement, silence is seen as weakness, passivity, or irrelevance. But in reality, silence is a source of strength, a reservoir of wisdom, and a pathway to peace. It is not emptiness but fullness, not absence but presence. It is the mark of a soul that has transcended the need for validation and approval. In the earlier stages of life, words dominate. Children cry to be heard. The young debate to prove their knowledge. The ambitious speak to command attention. The insecure talk endlessly to fill the void within. But as one ages, as the years accumulate and the lessons deepen, a shift occurs. Words begin to feel unnecessary. The need to explain, to argue, to be understood fades away. The wise do not speak to prove, they speak only when needed. There is a reason why the elders of many cultures are often portrayed as quiet observers rather than loud participants. They have already walked the roads that others are just beginning. They have fought battles, won victories, endured losses. They have seen the futility of certain arguments, the foolishness of unnecessary conflict, and the vanity of seeking the last word. With time, they have come to understand that not every thought must be spoken, not every opinion must be shared, and not every challenge requires a response. Silence is not just an act of withholding speech, it is an act of mastery. It is the ability to control one's emotions, to resist the urge to react, to allow wisdom rather than impulse to guide one's actions. It is in silence that the greatest revelations come. In stillness, the mind clears, the heart finds peace, and the soul connects with something deeper. Many people spend their lives filling every moment with noise. They are uncomfortable with silence because it forces them to confront themselves. It is in silence that truth is revealed, not just about the world, but about one's own heart. What do you find in silence? Anxiety? Regret? A longing for things undone? The distractions of life can mask these emotions, but when all is quiet, they rise to the surface. And that is where healing begins. In old age, silence becomes a sanctuary. It is not an escape from life, but a deeper engagement with it. It allows space for reflection, for appreciation, for gratitude. The rush of youth fades, replaced by a slower, more intentional pace. Conversations become more meaningful, words more deliberate. The desire to impress is replaced by the desire to simply be. Those who have not yet reached this stage may misunderstand the quiet nature of the elderly. They may mistake it for disinterest, for detachment, or for weakness. But those who have tasted the depth of silence know its power. They understand that a single glance can say more than 1,000 words, that presence speaks louder than speeches, and that sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is to say nothing at all. This does not mean silence is always necessary. There are moments to speak, to share, to guide. But the difference is that these words now carry weight. They are not spoken out of compulsion or insecurity, but out of clarity and purpose. A life lived in wisdom does not need constant explanation. The truth is evident in the way one moves, in the way one listens, in the peace that radiates from within. As the years pass, the ability to be silent becomes a gift. It is no longer about convincing others, about winning debates, or about proving worth. It is about cherishing the moments that truly matter, watching the sunrise, feeling the breeze, sitting in stillness with a loved one, and knowing that nothing needs to be said. The soul at peace requires no validation. The world will continue to shout, to argue, to demand attention. But there is great power in stepping back, in choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. In old age, silence is not a loss, it is a victory. It is the sign of one who has nothing left to prove, who has found the richness of life not in words but in presence. And in that silence, the greatest truths are revealed. In old age, there is a realization that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. The battles you fought in your youth, the need for recognition, the desire to be understood, the pursuit of validation, begin to fade. You come to see that much of what once seemed urgent was in reality unnecessary. What truly matters now is not how others perceive you, but how at peace you are with yourself. Throughout life, we are conditioned to seek approval. From childhood, we are taught to impress our parents, our teachers, our peers. We strive to be noticed, to be acknowledged, to be accepted. As we grow older, this desire often transforms into ambition, the need to prove our worth through success, accomplishments, and recognition. We defend our opinions, argue our positions, and seek to leave a mark on the world. But with age comes the realization that much of this was a distraction. The world does not need our constant input. It continues on, regardless of whether we try to control it. Letting go of the need to prove oneself is one of the greatest freedoms of aging. It is a release from the exhausting cycle of trying to shape others' perceptions. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those who do not understand. You no longer feel compelled to engage in endless debates with those who refuse to listen. You come to understand that not every battle is yours to fight. This does not mean indifference. It does not mean you stop caring or that you withdraw from life. On the contrary, it means you invest your energy where it truly matters. Rather than arguing over opinions, you focus on what brings peace. Rather than proving your worth to others, you rest in the knowledge that you are already enough. In youth, silence can be mistaken for weakness. The world teaches that to be silent is to be overlooked, to be unheard, to be powerless. But silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. The one who remains quiet does so not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned that not everything must be said. When you are no longer trying to prove yourself, you gain the ability to listen. And in listening, you gain greater understanding. Many people in their later years discover that they no longer feel the need to correct every misunderstanding or respond to every challenge. They see the futility in trying to change minds that are unwilling to change. They recognize that some lessons can only be learned through experience, not words, and so they let go of the need to convince others. They let go of the need to be right. This shift brings an incredible sense of peace. There is no longer a need to compete, to impress, to justify. Instead, there is a quiet confidence, a deep, unshakable knowledge that your value does not depend on external validation. It is a kind of liberation. You no longer chase after recognition because you understand that true worth is not given by the world. It is something that has always existed within you. With this newfound perspective, relationships change. The arguments that once seemed so important now appear trivial. The desire to be understood is replaced by the desire to simply be present. Conversations become richer, not because you are saying more, but because you are speaking only what truly needs to be said. There is no longer a need to fill every silence with words, because silence itself has become a source of strength. Many elders find that as they embrace this way of being, their presence alone carries weight. People begin to listen more, not because they are demanding attention, but because their words, when spoken, come from a place of deep wisdom. Their silence speaks louder than noise. Their stillness commands more respect than forceful speech ever could. In the end, the need to prove oneself is a burden that life slowly teaches us to release. It is a weight that serves no purpose in the later years. And when it is finally set down, what is left is freedom. The freedom to live without justification, to speak only when necessary, and to rest in the quiet assurance that you are enough just as you are. As you grow older, you begin to understand that your well-being, your health, peace, and personal joy must become your priority. For much of life, you may have poured yourself into others, sacrificing your time, energy, and even your own happiness to meet the demands of family, work, and society. But now, in this later season, life calls you to turn inward, to care for yourself with the same devotion that you once gave to others. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. There is a time for everything, and this is the time to nurture your body, mind, and soul. Your physical health, which may have been neglected in the rush of responsibilities, now requires more attention. No longer can you afford to ignore the signs of fatigue, pain, or stress. The body speaks, and now is the time to listen. This means embracing rest, nourishing yourself with healthy food, moving your body in ways that strengthen rather than strain it, and respecting its limits. The body is the vessel through which you experience life, and its care is an act of gratitude for the years it has carried you. But health is not just about the body. It is also about the mind. In younger years, the mind is often filled with noise, worries about the future, regrets about the past, thoughts of competition and comparison. But now, the focus must shift. There is no use in carrying the weight of old wounds, past mistakes, or unfulfilled expectations. This is the time to release resentment, to forgive yourself and others, and to make peace with the past. The mind, when left unchecked, can become a source of suffering. It replays old conversations, revisits past hurts, and creates unnecessary anxieties. But now, in this stage of life, you have the power to quiet the mind, to choose what thoughts are worth entertaining and which must be let go. This is the time to fill your mind with peace, with gratitude, with the simple joys of the present moment. Personal joy is something that too many people overlook in their later years. They assume that joy is for the young, that it is tied to external accomplishments, or that it is no longer within reach. But joy is always available. It simply looks different now. It is no longer found in ambition or achievement, but in the small, sacred moments of life. It is in the warmth of the morning sun on your skin, in the laughter of a grandchild, in the quiet of an early morning cup of tea. It is in the books you finally have time to read, the music you can now listen to without distraction, the walks you take without hurry. Joy is not something that comes from outside, it is something cultivated from within. And now in this time of life, you have the space to cultivate it fully. The things that once seemed urgent no longer matter as much. The pressures that once dictated your choices have loosened their grip. You are free to live in a way that nurtures your soul, in a way that brings you peace. This is also the time to guard your energy. Not every conversation is worth engaging in. Not every conflict deserves your attention. There are those who will try to pull you into their chaos, who will seek to involve you in negativity and gossip and meaningless disputes. But you have the power to step away, to protect your peace. Your energy is precious, and it must be spent wisely on things that bring you joy, on people who uplift you, on moments that enrich your soul. You are not responsible for fixing everything. You are not required to carry the burdens of others at the expense of your own well-being. You have done your part. You have given, you have worked, you have cared. Now it is time to turn that same care inward, to give yourself the rest and peace you deserve. In this season, less is more, less stress, less worry, less conflict, more stillness, more gratitude, more presence. This is the time to cherish what is truly important, to love deeply, to live fully, and to embrace the quiet joy that comes with a life well lived. Not every battle is yours to fight. This is a truth that becomes clearer with age. When you were younger, it may have felt necessary to correct every misunderstanding, to prove yourself in every argument, to defend your name in every situation. But as time passes, you begin to see that not every fight is worth engaging in, and not every conflict requires your presence. In fact, the battles you choose to walk away from often bring you greater peace than the ones you choose to fight. The world is full of noise, endless debates, disagreements, and conflicts. People argue over opinions, over misunderstandings, over things that will soon be forgotten. And if you are not careful, you can be drawn into this chaos, spending your energy on matters that have no real significance in the grand scheme of life. But wisdom teaches that true strength is not found in fighting every battle, but in knowing which battles are truly worth your time. One of the greatest lessons of aging is learning the power of letting go. Letting go of the need to prove yourself. Letting go of the need to have the last word. Letting go of the need to control how others see you. There was a time when it mattered, when you felt the weight of people's opinions, when you thought your worth was tied to how others perceived you. But now you understand that no matter what you do, people will think what they want to think. And that is their burden, not yours. Walking away from unnecessary battles does not mean you are weak. It means you are wise. It means you recognize that your energy is precious and should not be wasted on things that do not serve your peace. It means you understand that not every argument leads to understanding, and not every conflict leads to resolution. Some people do not seek truth. They seek to argue for the sake of arguing. And in these situations, silence is your greatest response. There is a time to speak, but there is also a time to remain silent. There is a time to stand your ground, but there is also a time to walk away. Some battles are worth fighting. Battles for justice, battles for truth, battles for those who cannot fight for themselves. But many battles in life are simply distractions, designed to drain your energy, to steal your peace, to keep you entangled in things that do not truly matter. As you grow older, you begin to see the futility of arguing with those who do not listen, of explaining yourself to those who have already made up their minds, of seeking approval from those who will never give it. And so you let go. You let go of the need to explain, to defend, to justify. You let your actions, your presence, and your peace speak for themselves. This is not to say that you must withdraw from life or stop caring about the world around you. On the contrary, it means that you now choose where to invest your energy more wisely. You focus on what truly matters, on your well-being, on your loved ones, on the things that bring you joy. You learn that peace is more valuable than winning an argument, and that walking away does not mean defeat. It means you have risen above the need for conflict. There is great strength in stillness. When you refuse to engage in meaningless battles, you stand firm in your wisdom. People may try to provoke you, to pull you into their chaos, to test your patience. But when you remain unmoved, when you choose silence over argument, when you choose peace over conflict, you show the world that you are not easily shaken. You become a presence of quiet strength, a person whose wisdom speaks louder than words ever could. In the end, life is too short to be spent in endless battles. The years that remain are precious. Why waste them in arguments that will not matter a year from now? Why spend your energy trying to change people who do not wish to change? Instead, focus on what brings you peace. Focus on what fills your soul. Focus on the battles that truly matter and walk away from the rest. For in the end, the greatest battles are not the ones fought with words, but the ones fought in silence. The battle to remain at peace in a world of chaos. The battle to choose stillness over distraction. The battle to guard your heart, protect your mind, and walk away from anything that threatens your well-being. And in these battles, the strongest warrior is the one who knows when to fight and when to walk away.